What's going on, podcasters? Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Branding Banter, where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA.
I'm Meg Erber, Director of Sales at Performa.
And I'm Sarah Goshgarian Unruh, National Sales Manager at Stalls.
And we are joined today by a very special guest. We've got Isar Meitis from Multiplai.ai, and super excited to have you on. I know you were a keynote speaker at the ASI Power Summit that we just covered not that long ago. So we're sort of revisiting that because of how phenomenal all of the news came from Meg and Sarah as they were there live. They got to see your presentation there, and that's how great it was. So, of course, we had to have you on the show, and I'm super excited that you joined us. But before we launch into today's topic, which is obviously going to cover AI, why don't you just introduce yourself and maybe give us a little bit of background information about yourself, sir?
So I was born in, no, I'm just kidding. My background is in tech. I was in tech startups most of my life, either as a CEO, as one of the early founders in multiple different industries, but they were all tech startups. So in the last 20 years, I've been either the CEO or something else in tech startups. And I've had 2 exits, but I left my previous company, which was the only company that was not a tech startup, at October of 2022, sold my half of the business to my business partner, and left that business, and was wondering what I want to do when I grow up, kind of thing. And then a month later, ChatGPT comes out, and I'm being a geek and a tech kind of guy, I jumped all over it. And then a lot of people who knew me from before said, hey, you have time on your hands because you just sold another business and you're playing with this AI thing. Can you come and help us out? I'm also an investor in several different businesses, but one of them is a cohort-based training platform out of Israel. And very early on in January of 2023, me and the CEO had a conversation. Said, listen, we got to teach AI courses on the platform. Said, yeah, you're right. Do you know anybody? I'm like, yeah, me. It's like, you just had big exits. Like, what, are you going to be a teacher now? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, okay, you're it. So since April of 2023, I've been teaching AI courses for mostly business leaders, like helping them transforming businesses. And I'm doing workshops and stuff like that. But that's generally my background. So 20 years of running software companies. And then in the last year and a half, doing lots of AI training and education and some AI consulting as well.
Wow.
So coming from the tech industry and having done that now for, I think you said 20 years or so, how has AI transformed what you're doing? I mean, because I got to imagine something so technologically advanced as AI. I feel like that's what we've been waiting for since like Terminator. You know what I mean?
Actually,
that usually comes up after 35 minutes. So you actually brought up like Terminator right as we get started. That's new for me.
I like to get right to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I'm in.
He's like taking off his jacket. He's already sweating. He's like
ready for it.
Let's
He's
go.
all set. He's like, come on.
So yeah, listen, I think it impacts literally every aspect of the business of most businesses. And so anything from HR, finance, operations, marketing, sales, customer service, customer success, leadership, strategy, board, like literally every aspect you look at it, you can use AI very effectively across multiple aspects of it. So businesses have to really figure out how to leverage it faster than their competition. That's really the game that we're playing right now, right? Because you don't have to do it, but your competitors will, and then they'll be able to do things faster, better, cheaper than you, which means very quickly you'll run out of business because they'll be able to serve the same clients at a much better price point, still making more money than you. So that's the game, right? And that's true, as I mentioned, in most industries. It's true. Like if you're doing HVAC installations, yeah, you can still chill. But if you're doing a lot of other stuff, then you better get moving because it's coming fast. Specifically for me, because you asked about my business, I now run an amount of business that I run myself and my assistant with a lot of AI automations around it. I did less than that in my previous company with a team of 10.
Wow.
And so that kind of gives you an idea, both on every aspect of the business, by the way, the amount of customers we serve, the ways we serve them, the bandwidth that we have on multiple aspects that we do, the amount of content that we generate, on multiple channels, like literally every aspect that you look at. I'm doing more business than I've done before, and I'm doing this with 2 people instead of 10 people. So that kind of gives you an idea from a cost structure perspective. What does this look like?
I wrote down a quote from your, oh, sorry, one second, Sarah, and then you can have the whole floor. I wrote down a quote from your presentation, and it was about the AI agents and AGI, and you said 95% of our jobs will easily, nearly instantly, and at almost no cost be handled by AI because it's free, instant, and nearly perfect. That's essentially what you're saying, right? Like now, even with the new stuff.
So we're not there yet. That's actually not my quote. That's me quoting Sam Altman. So bigger names than me. But Sam Altman said that specifically about marketing, but he was asked specifically about marketing. So this applies to any other aspect of the business. And he was specifically talking about AGI. And when will we have AGI is a big blur. Like it depends who you ask. So if you're asking people like the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, he just published an amazing blog post about this, his future view of the world with AI. It's all, unicorns and butterflies and rainbows. And he's talking about 2 to 3 years. That's scary as freaking hell. If you ask, there was another interview with Demis Hassabis, who runs DeepMind for Google, who has been doing AI for the last 20 years, just got a Nobel Prize for his involvement in AI. Like he's a big deal. He thinks 10 years. But sometime in that time frame, within 2 to 10 years, it's going to happen. What I tell people is that it doesn't matter when we're going to achieve AGI, because AGI is this blurry amoeba thing that is very hard to define anyway. The road there is what matters. And the road is that every few weeks, there's a new model from a new, different company that does more things better than we can. That's what matters. And so whether we achieve, everything instantly, nearly free for everything now, we're going to be able to achieve more and more of that stuff closer and closer to that 90% every few weeks. And that's what really matters. And that's why the level of urgency, it's not like, okay, I'll figure it out when we get there. I'm like, no, it's changing literally on an hourly basis.
Well, I think that's part of the drawback for a lot of people is that it is changing so frequently. It's really, really difficult to be, number one, even up to speed on today's standards, but let alone a month from now or 2 to 10 years from now. Just the amount of stuff that continues to come out. How are you meant to be able to utilize or stay on top of that? I mean, it's just going so rampant.
That's the, I don't know, few $1 trillion question, right? It's how do you figure this out as a business? So as individuals, I can maybe listen to podcasts and follow people on LinkedIn or on YouTube or TikTok or wherever you follow people to learn what's happening in industry and what's possible in use cases, which by the way, I recommend to literally everyone. Like find a podcast or a bunch of podcasts, find a few LinkedIn people, find a few people. And I would divide them into 3 different categories for people, because I think that's the beginning step of everything. One category is people who are more visionaries, who can tell you where this thing is going, right? And I'm not talking about industry leaders. I'm not talking about Sam Altman and so on. I'm talking more about the big thinkers who are telling you, okay, this is where we think the world is going to go. The second one is really those industry leaders. So follow Sam Altman, Dario Amodei, Demis Hassabis, Ethan Malik, et cetera, because they're going to tell you what they're doing. Like you don't have to guess what's coming in 2 years. They're telling you. Now you may not believe that. You may be terrified by it and rather to play ostrich and stick your head in the sand. That's fine. But if you want to know what's coming, they're telling you all the time. So follow these people. And then the third thing, which is people like me, which is more the practitioners of the world, right? How do you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 25 different use cases? And don't follow the people that are going to tell you, oh, here's 100 prompts that will make you money. No, that's not the kind of people I'm saying. I'm saying people who are actual business people who actually are implementing AI for specific business use cases. If you follow them, and they will share with you, and they're all sharing, there's enough people who share exactly what they do, myself included, you will learn how to implement AI in specific use cases. Some of them are going to be relevant to your business. Some of them are not, but many of them will, because it's a business is a business is a business, regarding of which industry is in. So that's step one. On the business level side of things, it's a little murkier, right? Because a business cannot change on a weekly basis. It's just not the way it works. It's very, very hard to make changes in a business on a quarterly basis. So how do you do that? And the trick there is really to combine two very sounds contradicting strategies, but they're not. One is doing the strategic analysis. How is this going to impact me, my business, my industry, my niche, my clients? Right? You got to understand deeply what impact will this have? And to put it in simple terms, what will my clients be willing to pay for and how much they'll be willing to pay for it 2 years from now because they will have access to AI. Right? So that's the $1 million or the depending how big your company is, the $100 million, $1 billion question. Will they be willing to pay for the stuff they're paying for right now? Yes or no? And sometimes the answer is no. Like I can't tell you how many companies who are content agencies. Most of them will not survive this because AI will create better content for free, on the fly, customized to anything you need. So companies who generate content for a living will cease to exist. Call centers, or in their broader name, contact centers, because chat goes in there, will cease to exist. They just won't. Nobody will be willing to pay for people answering the phone. And so there's a few industries that will be wiped out by this thing. So you got to ask yourself for your business, is it yes or no? Will they be willing to pay for the stuff I'm selling today? And if yes, how much? The flip side is what new products or services can I come up with because I now have access to AI? So my cost structure, my overhead, my ROI formula changes dramatically. What else can I do for my existing clients that I couldn't do before that will generate more money to replace and potentially do a lot more than the money I can make today doing the stuff that I'm doing today? The third question, which is also on the positive side, what new kinds of clients I can serve? So let's take it to your industry, and I might be putting a lot of people in trouble with what I'm going to say right now. So I'm going to say it anyway, though, because I don't care. Let's say that you're in your industry and you're just a distributor and you do just B2B because that's traditionally what you did. And you've done no B2C because you had no way to do this. Well, now you can. Because all the stuff that B2C companies do that you have no expertise in doing, instead of costing you X number of tens of thousands of dollars a year, could cost you thousands. So suddenly you can be a B2B and a B2C company. That means that in the short term, you're competing with your clients. That's not a good place to be.
Not in this industry.
But it's doable. So I'm not telling you go do this. I'm telling you that the business model you're in will most likely need to change. The people who will figure out faster than the others will gain market share. And so that's the race we're in, right? And so I know that's a very long answer to your very simple question, but it's so that's one aspect, right? I'm now going back to what I said. I said there's two aspects. That's the strategy side. But then there's the day-to-day side, right? And the day-to-day side, so I call this the top-down and bottom-up. The bottom-up side is what use cases are we doing today, right now, in our business that can be accelerated, improved, eliminated by using AI? And there are dozens and sometimes hundreds in each company, which means while you're doing the strategic thinking and figure out resources and how to get there and who you need to hire and what kind of infrastructure you need, you can start winning on pure efficiencies on the day-to-day. Writing proposals faster, writing proposals that win, solving customer service issues with less manpower and faster, collecting information to put orders into whatever ERP system in a more efficient way, standardizing data, which I'm sure you don't have that problem in your industry at all. But standardizing data is a huge one, right? AI is amazing at taking random, unstructured data and putting it in boxes in seconds, stuff that takes us hours to do and we're not very good at because one person will not necessarily do it exactly the same way as the other. These tools are fantastic at doing that. So let's say you're getting orders in 50 different formats, again, which I'm sure never happens to any of your companies. And they're like, okay, to put it into the ERP, here are the fields that I need, right? It knows how to map these things. It knows how to send a follow-up email to anybody who has missing information in the email they sent you with the details of what you need. Literally, all it has to do is say, okay, you need these 10 things in the order. Are you missing any of those in this email? Yes. Write an email back saying, hey, thank you so much for the order, blah, 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 blah. You're missing whatever missing information. Please send it to us, blah, 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 in your nearest convenience. Easily doable. How many hours are spent in your industry a year doing that?
Yeah, a lot.
So I feel like I'm going to ask a question of you, Isar, of where you're kind of going. And I know a lot of people probably listening, there's this fear factor, right? Because they don't understand AI. And so you talked about like listening to podcasts in order to kind of get yourself some education. But I think the other fear comes around as you're talking about the various apps that are available from an AI perspective. People don't know where to start or they're so afraid of all the cybersecurity scams and what's really a good app and who do I use and who do I trust. And so there's this fear not only around AI taking jobs and, eliminating positions and things like that, but then there's this other fear of they're not really quite sure, are we using the right tools? How do we make sure we're using the right tools? So then that way we're doing the right things for our business in order to help, like you said, with the efficiencies that they're looking to change.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I will answer it in two different ways. The first thing is training, right? And if you both of you have been in my presentation, that's the number one thing. Like you have to train people in your organization. When I say people in your organization, is people in the trenches, middle management, senior leadership, and the board, because they will have to support the strategic initiatives that you're going to do afterwards. When you're going to come to them and say, hey, we're going to invest whatever the number is. For some companies, it's $200,000. For some companies, it's going to be $5 million. We're going to invest this and that amount of money in infrastructure so we can do these AI things in the near future so we can win. They will have to support that. So they will have to understand. So literally train everybody in the right training. How do you do that? In the first step, you hire people like me. Again, it doesn't have to be me, but people like me who are helping other businesses who have real business experience in real businesses. It's not people who are, hey, I'm an AI guru. Awesome. What did you do in the last 20 years? Oh, I've been in high school. Great. Awesome. You're not going to teach me how to transform my business. No offense to anybody. Like there's people who do amazing things with AI who've been in high school last year, but they cannot help you through a business transformation process like I'm talking about. So training your people initially with somebody external, then you have to develop this external expertise because it's an ever-moving target, right? You got to have somebody in-house and a process in-house that will allow you to continuously deliver training. So that's one aspect of what you asked. But the other thing you asked specifically about tools, and that's a big question that nobody knows what to do. And so there's two simple answers to that. One is that literally every tool, every big tool you're using today is going to have AI built into it, and it's going to get better and better and better. So if you're using Microsoft, you have Copilot that's going to be connected more and more and more to do things. If you're running Google, then there's going to be Gemini connected into more and more and more things. If you're using Salesforce, they already have their stuff. If you're using Adobe, they're going to have their stuff. So every one of the tools that you have for a little bit more money will have more and more advanced AI capabilities that will be able to do more and more of the stuff you're doing anyway, in a platform you're doing anyway, in a place that you trust your data anyway, will have AI on top of it. So that's one aspect. The problem with that is you don't know exactly when they're going to deliver, what they're going to deliver, what it will be able to solve out of the problems, and there's stuff you can solve tomorrow or today with other tools. So for there, I always go to the stuff that is the biggest that most people are using, the obvious suspects, right? So ChatGPT, easy. Claude, easy. Gemini, easy. Now let's go creating images. You're talking about Flux, you're talking about Midjourney, you're talking about, again, ChatGPT, maybe Ideogram, I will add on top of that. Canva, that now has more and more tools that are built into it, and so on. Video generation, again, there's a few big obvious leaders, and then there's a very long tail of smaller companies. So Runway, Kling, Dream Machine, big companies that have been around, that raised a lot of money, are, if you go with those, and you don't share proprietary information with those platforms, but you do everything else in them, you'll be fine. Because then you know that these tools have been vetted. There's going to be a gazillion YouTube videos showing you how to use them. There's a big community that you can tap into to ask questions, and then you're not going to be stuck. Another thing that I personally love doing, and I do all the time, I use a tool, and I'm going back to the large language models for a second. I use a Chrome extension that is called Chat Hub. So there's another Chat Hub that is an actual company with a tool and everything. It's not that. It's a Chrome extension. And that Chrome extension allows you to open up to 6 large language models on the screen at the same time and have the same chat with all of them at once. So I never use 6 because it's too much even for an ADHD person like me. But I opened 4. And
What's that called again? Chat Hub?
Chat
An
Hub.
AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a Chrome extension. I think they have a free version as well that allows you to open 2, and that is limited with how many chats you can do, which is a good starting point anyway. And then if you pay a little, then you can get the 4 or the 6. But the cool thing about it, I use it for 2 different things. One, answers your direct question, Sarah. So again, I know it took me a while to get there, but it allows me to test new use cases against new models or existing models or whatever combination of these things. So every time a new model comes out, I run to all the use cases I run it against it and the 3 other candidates that I have. And I see which one is actually doing a better job for me. And once I pick one, I will run with that one on its native platform for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, 6, whatever, until a new model comes out, and then we'll try it again. The other thing that I'm using it for is ideation. You're trying to come up with a new campaign that will be for what's coming up, Black Friday, to promote whatever. And you know your target audience, but you're just looking for ideas. Now you're ideating with 6 amazing consultants if you gave them the right prompts and the right information and the right background and you prepared them properly. But if you do this, now you have an advisory board that could be anybody on the planet. And I'll make it more specific. And if you haven't tried this, it's going to blow your mind. Pick up the 4 top books that you follow in business or authors. So, Jim Collins, these kind of people, like whoever you follow on different aspects of the business, and create a prompt that says, I need you to help me with blah, 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 blah. You are this person. I want you to answer as this person. I want you to answer only based on the framework that is defined in iOS. So you're an iOS consultant, and I want you to use the book traction and only the book traction as the framework to answer my questions. And you can build an advisory board of the top thought leaders on the planet on any topic and ask them questions. Now, is it actually going to be them? No. But is it going to try to put things through the lens that they see the world through? Yes, absolutely.
I love that. Not to interrupt you, but I never thought to do. So I always actually, I take it back. I use that almost that exact prompt, but with a different person. But I love what you just said, using the 4 top authors or books that you follow in business, because I actually have done that with one book, but like I like that aspect of it a lot. But yeah, love that idea.
So yeah, there's so many different ways on the knowledge side to use this to really build a solid strategy, but also use it across multiple things in the business. So again, very long answer, but hopefully we touched on a lot of important things for people.
No, you did.
Like
Great.
mind blown, right? Like, okay, wow. There's just so many tools out there from a resource perspective that, and
but you know what? Let me answer that for a second, because I think the easiest thing to do is say, "Oh my God, I don't know how to start, so I'm just not going to start."
100%.
Literally the easiest choice.
Yes.
Like, this is too scary, too complex. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I will give you a simple answer. As of right now, the tool that has the most capabilities across data analysis, image generation, writing code, creating stuff, collecting data is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The gap is closing, and a lot of companies have passed them on specific components. Like, there's tools that write better code. There's definitely tools that generate better images. There's tools that do better data analysis. But as an overall generalist tool, ChatGPT is awesome. You can pay for the not the basic version, whatever's one above it, and then it
Like
doesn't train on your
0.0 or
data.
whatever it is. I think it's
Like
yeah,
the
I don't
the team
Yeah.
license, and then it doesn't train on your data,
Huh.
which means you don't even have to be worried about, okay, what am I uploading to this and what am I not uploading to this and so on. And again, don't load like your biggest secrets and whatever, but I comfortably upload, financial data of my company and stuff like that. Like whatever.
Hmm.
If somebody somehow this becomes somehow part of the training data of the universe, good luck. It's not such a big of a secret. So within your comfort of them, again, swearing to you on paper that they're not training on your data and they're the back end for everything Microsoft, which kind of tells you they hopefully know what they're doing, I feel comfortable sharing a lot of information with that tool. And you can do hundreds of use cases in your business that will accelerate what you're doing, including building really smart automations. So those of you who don't know, in each and every one of the big tools, so Anthropic from Claude, ChatGPT from OpenAI, and Gemini from Google, there's the option to build these mini automations that run within the tool but are already rigged to do one very specific task very, very well. On the ChatGPT world is called GPTs, which
Mhm.
one thing I'll tell you about OpenAI, they built the most amazing technology maybe ever. They definitely created the most amazing revolution ever. They're really bad at picking up names. Like they should use AI to pick names. Like, who the hell names the product ChatGPT
Yeah.
or GPTs? What the hell does that mean? But anyways,
Miniature little chat GPTs. I know
Yeah.
our chat,
yeah,
we named
GPTs.
our chat GPT back when it first came out.
So I don't know. Your
Meg
call
Erber.
is about banter. So this is my banter. Like pick up proper names, right?
Yeah.
And for a minute, they're like, oh, we're going to call it Strawberry. I'm like, yes, an actual name. And they're like, oh, we're going to go to GPT-01. I'm like, how do you go from Strawberry to that? Never mind. Let's go back to something productive. So these GPTs allow you to create use cases that one geek in your company could develop for everybody else. And everybody can use them again and again and again with almost no knowledge whatsoever on how these tools work. So all you need is one or two people that know what they're doing, give them the tools, give them the space, give them the resources, give them time. Provide them inputs from other people in your company of like three different things. What's going to help you make more money in your department? What's going to save you money in your department? So support the bottom line. And what are the things people hate to do the most? Just create a list. And then you can prioritize it based, okay, this thing makes the most amount of money to this department. That's $1 million. The other department is 1.5 million. Do that first. How much money is going to save? Well, it's going to save me $10,000. Like, okay, awesome. How much is going to save you? $25,000. Okay, you win. We do that first. And so this way you can prioritize the things to X number of people. And over time, the goal is obviously to teach everybody to be able to do this. Like what I'm telling you, these automations, literally anyone can do. Anyone. My kids that are in middle school and high school are building them for the stuff that they need to do.
That's cool.
So within an hour of training and 5 hours of trying it yourself and getting your hands dirty, you know how to build them yourself.
Isar, you mentioned earlier in our show that you are doing like a public, or maybe it was back pre-stage at this point, I can't remember. I know you do like private one-on-one consultations and meetings with businesses, but you also do like public professional development. Can you quickly tell us a little bit about that and where our listeners can go to maybe sign up for that?
Yes, absolutely. So I do, as you mentioned, I've been teaching the AI business transformation course since April of last year. I've had literally hundreds of companies go through that course, maybe thousands by now. I don't really count, but I can say hundreds comfortably because I've been teaching at least a course, sometimes two every single month, as there's 20 to 30 people every single time. So that's a lot of people. The courses are mostly private courses. So organizations of different kinds or companies of different kinds or consortia of different kinds bring me to teach their people, their companies, and so on. But every now and then, when there isn't a second course or stuff like that on a month, I would open a public course, which happens to be about once a quarter. And the next course actually is starting on November 18th. The course is 4 sessions of 2 hours each with me, going from wherever you are in your journey. I'm going to pick you up at that station and teach you a lot more stuff, even on the stuff you think you know. And the 4 sessions are really built in a progress where you start with introduction, then we go to multiple actual use cases, how to do this with these different tools, how to pick the right tools, and so on. And session 4 is really more of a strategy session where, okay, as a business owner, as a business leader, as a manager in a business, what do I need to do? What are the steps I need to take in order to implement AI successfully in my business? Step-by-step checklist, connecting back to everything we learned in the first 3 sessions. And so, as I mentioned, the course starts in 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks, something like that. November 18th. And I will send you a link. So if you go to my website, you'll be able to find it. The website is Multiplai, spelled with AI instead of a Y in the end. So it's Multiplai. I thought that was really smart when I picked that URL. I'm like, this is so cool. It's awesome. And then I'm like, I have to spell it and think about it every single time, which is not great. But those of you who are watching the screen, that's on the screen as well.
Yeah, there you
So I should have looked at that when I was trying to spell it for my head. But it's Multiplai.ai, and over there you can go to services and you can find the course. But I will also share with you the link where people can go straight there. And I will even do more than that because you asked me that question, and I really appreciate that. I will create a specific link for you guys that will just be, I don't want to make it really, really long. So, let's just make it branding banter because then people will remember. So the promo code I can't say that fast. Branding banter will give you $100 off the course. And I would love to see people from this industry join. There's so much to learn, and we always like teaching people. Like I said, I'm really, really, really passionate about this. And I really think that helping companies right now is potentially critical to their survival. It's that important. And so anybody wants to join, I will highly welcome. Anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I will gladly answer any questions you have about the course. So, my name is Isar Meitis. I have to spell, pronounce, explain every single meeting that I have. And yet I'm the only Isar Meitis on LinkedIn. So if you found me, it's me. So,
well, it could be your doppelganger, which I've also
could
met.
be my doppelganger. That's
so.
More on that in your course, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is amazing. So
I don't know about you guys, but my mind is blown.
Yeah.
I think it's such a unique tool, and like I said, just incredibly advanced from where we were just a few short years ago. And it's amazing to see where it's come and where it's going. And I appreciate people like you to be on the on the cusp of that, and to help businesses and industries sort of I guess start to utilize it, because it is a challenging task at first, for sure. But the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yes.
So, all right. Well, if that's it, guys, I think, anything else?
No,
Good?
that's it. We'll post it in the chat. So much. Yeah, and thank you so much, Isar. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, really.
Thank you for having me. This was an awesome conversation. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, or like Isar said, we'll put the link for that course down in the comments as well, and use code Branding Banter for a nice little discount on that. Thank you again, Isar, for that. And until next time, guys, we'll be seeing you.